Ever had an anxious thought so strange that you stopped and thought, am I actually going mad? Well, if you have, then the good news is you're not. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how I know that. For the last 15 years, my job has been to work one-to-one with clients to help them get past their anxiety issues. And during that time, it won't surprise you to hear that I've learned quite a lot about what people suffering with high anxiety are most anxious about. And if you're a regular to this channel, then you'll know that the big thing is anxiety about anxiety, the fear of feeling anxious. But if we find ourselves in this situation, we're not afraid of anxiety just for the sake of it. We're afraid of what it means for our future. And the big fear is often the fear that all these anxious thoughts and sensations actually indicate that we're going mad. So in this video, I want to explain why that fear, whilst understandably scary, isn't actually based in reality, and why feeling this way actually, if anything, confirms our sanity rather than brings it into question. But to do this, we first need to break down the process of how this way of thinking starts. Not for no reason does our mind do anything, no matter how strange and random our thoughts seem at times. And there's a good reason why having anxious thoughts causes us to feel like something's going wrong in our head. That's because when our anxious thoughts and feelings become loud and overwhelming, they often don't feel rational. How many times do we have thoughts like, what if X happens, when we have no reason to believe it ever will? Or what if I did Y, when we've never done that thing before and never wanted to? Or what if suddenly I lost control, when we've never lost control in the past and have no reason we can think of why we ever would? As human beings in an anxious frame of mind, we will often have thoughts that don't seem grounded in reality and seem contrary to the things we know logically to be true. They can at times seem fantastical, ridiculous, and even unethical or downright evil. And then of course, because we've probably been told the story that anxiety is linked to mental illness or psychological disorder, we start to wonder, is this it? Am I losing my mind? We think we might be going mad simply because we're taking the random nature of our thoughts as evidence that we must be. So, is that what these thoughts mean? That we're going mad? Well, spoiler alert, no. And here's why. So as cliched as it might sound, let's talk about our feelings. Feeling highly anxious might at times be uncomfortable, but the thoughts that inspire these feelings are not irrational. Irrational means for no reason. And as I've already mentioned, there's always a reason why we feel a certain way or have certain thoughts. That reason is not because I'm mad. The reason is because that's your mind's job. Anxiety is a perfectly healthy emotional response. It exists to point you towards what is deemed to be important right now. And in some cases, that means alerting you to perceived danger. Notice I said perceived danger, not necessarily real danger. As soon as we feel in some way threatened, we enter a mode where our mind is now frantically looking around to find that threat. This is why we'll often see danger in situations that didn't previously bother us. If we then at some point start to believe that our mind is in some way malfunctioning, then that becomes where we perceive the threat to be coming from. Suddenly the thing we're most anxious about is what's going on with our state of mind. And it's not irrational to feel this way. Why wouldn't you regard your mind and your sanity as important? If I suddenly believed I was losing touch with reality, I'd be concerned too. Your anxiety is a direct reflection of what you believe to be true at that moment. So your emotional response is in no way illogical. It's actually perfectly appropriate. You're reacting to a perceived threat, which is exactly what your mind is designed to do. So the first thing we need to do is stop framing fears as malfunctions and seemingly random anxious feelings as a sign of an unhealthy mind. Let's talk for a bit about the more dark and disturbing thoughts we might have. Whilst they might seem like an indicator of things not being right with us mentally, there's also a perfectly logical and functional reason behind them. That reason is to conceptualize and protect us from what might go wrong in the future. Even those thoughts about doing bad things are simply your mind running through the thousands upon thousands of options we have before us at any given moment in our life. Our mind needs to conceptualize the bad, stupid, or just plain scary stuff so that we can understand what's right or wrong, what's good or bad, what's possible or impossible. Normally those thoughts don't make it into our conscious awareness, as we have a very limited capacity when it comes to what we can consciously focus on. But when we start to question our state of mind, when we start to fear that we're going mad, the seemingly less logical thoughts become important to pay attention to. Our mind has started to flag them up as a threat, and thus now we're suddenly becoming consciously aware of the more random stuff that our mind would previously have rejected without troubling us consciously. You're not having different or crazy thoughts, you're just suddenly aware of things that your mind had previously not bothered you with. It's not because your mind is malfunctioning, it's actually doing its job perfectly, but it's now doing it based on the idea that we might be going mad. All we've done here is created that feedback loop of anxious thoughts and feelings where anxiety has become more and more exaggerated as we become more and more anxious about our anxious thoughts and feelings. Recognizing the way we feel as natural and not unhealthy is how we break this loop. But there's one more reason why we know these thoughts are entirely benign. So you might be asking, Tim, how can you possibly reassure me I'm not going mad when you don't know me? Well, aside from the fact that the way you're feeling and thinking is a natural response to a fear of going mad rather than actually going mad, the reason I know you're not losing your mind is because you're here. Here's something that's really important to understand. People who are genuinely losing their mind, whatever that actually means, they don't worry about it. They don't have the level of awareness and insight that allows them to question their own sanity. They're not afraid of the idea because they're not necessarily aware anything's wrong. So the very fact that this is troubling you so deeply, the very fact that you're watching this video trying to make sense of it all, is a sign that your priorities are in the right place and your mind is functioning exactly as it should be. Put simply, caring about your own state of mind is a healthy consideration. In the same way that feeling anxious about your physical well-being or the state of your life in general is a natural, healthy human response, so is being mindful and attentive to your own mental and emotional health. If you've been genuinely fearing for your sanity, then why wouldn't you find yourself in a state of mind that amplifies all those thoughts and sensations to the point where it just seems to validate those concerns? So here's the tip I want to leave you with to help turn all this around. Don't take the presence of anxious thoughts or the awareness of uncomfortable feelings as a sign that you're broken or malfunctioning. Take it as a sign that you're human, you're alive, and you care about your well-being. Those are all good things. The thoughts might be scary, the sensations might feel overwhelming, but they don't mean you're losing it. They just mean your mind is trying, sometimes a little harder than you'd like, to keep you safe. And once you start seeing those thoughts and feelings for what they really are, the fear surrounding them starts to dissipate, and as a result, you notice them a lot less. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. I put stuff up every week all about reducing and controlling anxiety and getting back to living a full and happy life. And if you'd like to dive deeper, take a look at the members area of the channel where you'll find my full anxiety relief program and weekly live Q&A sessions where I answer your questions directly. Just click the join button on the homepage or use the link in the description below. I'm Tim Box, thanks for watching. Always remember, be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.